Hello everyone and welcome to the Sector 1 Motorsport podcast in partnership with FernGP. And today I am joined with a FernGP driver and the female side ambassador, Kirsty Mansell. Kirsty, for people who aren't familiar with you, who are you?
Kirsty Mansell, Formula 3 driver for FernGP and brand ambassador for the female side.
Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning of your story then. When did motorsport come to be a part of your life?
I'd like to say it's a cliche thing, from the womb, but my dad was a racer and my dad's deaf and so is my mum. And so growing up, I was like the built-in translator for them for anything and everything. So before I knew it, I was in the world of motorsport and it was my world.
And what kind of racing did your dad do?
So he's done a bit of everything, to be honest. Shifters, supercarts, Cosworths, mini Miglias, you name it, he's done it.
And what's it like now, him getting to see you do your own motorsport journey when he's been on one himself? What's that like for him?
Well, he's so emotional, bless him, he cries all the time. But he's so proud, just to sort of pass on that baton to his daughter. And I continue to carry that legacy for him. So.
And I've got to say, as a member of the FernGP team, I have met Kirsty's dad, and his reaction to you getting out of the car every time, it absolutely warms my heart. It's the most wholesome thing ever, I think. I always capture photos of you and your dad, and it's just so wholesome. Yeah. I absolutely love it.
Bless him.
Right, so your dad was involved. So what is your earliest motorsport memory when you think back? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I'd like to say putting on my dad's helmet for the first ever time. I mean, I must have been at the age of 3, and it was, I had like a pea-sized head, and his helmet is just this big, and I was just wobbling about in my head. But yeah, that's probably my earliest memory, getting his helmet on.
I think we need a recreation of that now. I'm going to expect a photo on your social media. Maybe he can wear your one this time.
Oh, that would be lovely. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Expect that on Kirsty's social media, coming soon, 100%. So obviously, you're now in motorsport yourself. So what were your first steps into getting into it?
So I sat in a go-kart at the age of 6, and I swear, Sydney, I've never been the same since.
Really?
I sat in that go-kart and I thought, cancel all my life plans. This is it. I'm a racing driver now. So that's my earliest memory of being in motorsport myself, and just going from there.
So did you always see motorsport as the kind of thing you wanted to go into? Was it always that avenue, or were there any other interests you had?
I mean, from doing motorsport, my mum, bless her, she was cautious of the dangers and the stuff that you get in motorsport. So she encouraged me to do education, and speed comes later, So I studied hard and then done all that stuff. And then, just fast forward and now here we are.
So did the motorsport dream always kind of seem achievable to you?
Yes. Sit in the go-kart since I was little. That's all I ever wanted. I've done other sports here and there, but motorsport was always the one that just drove me through all the way.
Well, let's go back to your parents then, because you've got an incredible support system there. You've got your brother as well. Tell me about your support system. How do they support you in all of your endeavours?
They're so, they know how passionate I am about motorsport, so they want me to pursue that all the way. And they're always there for me. And I've asked for a better support system.
At what time was it that you knew motorsport was going to be exactly what you pursued? You talk about how your dad was involved, you tried on your dad's helmet when you were 3 years old. When did you catch the bug where you wanted to actually be in the car, in the action, rather than just being the support system for your dad's racing?
Yeah, so probably watching him race, I wanted to be in that seat, and that has never left me. So I studied hard, I did my education, I graduated, and then I sort of just said to my mum, please let me get back into that seat. It's time now. And she said, fine, we'll get you, start slowly, go indoor karting with your dad. And I said, deal, I'll take that. Whatever it takes, I'll do it. Doing the indoor karting, then outdoor, and then just going from there.
So what was that like in karting then? Were you kind of one of the only women there? What was that like in terms of diversity?
Yes, so in terms of diversity, I was the only female there, and a lot of the time I was the only female. But it never really mattered to me. As soon as you've got your helmet on, we're all drivers at the end of the day. And yeah, we're all equal, so
Let's go racing, eh?
Let's go racing.
I want to go back to what you were saying at the beginning, how your earliest motorsport memories were kind of being with your dad, supporting him, acting as kind of a translator for him. Tell me a little bit more about that then. What exactly was your kind of role?
So, like I said, like a built-in translator, you know, wherever he was, I was. I was always by his side, whether it was going to race events, track days, even random conversations with other drivers, you know. And there I was just absorbing everything, and I just completely fell in love with it.
I've got to ask though, acting as a translator, being so young and having such a hefty role put on your shoulders, was that ever difficult, really hard? Like kind of, did that ever upset you that you had to do that role, or was it something you kind of just...
No, not so much upset me. It was more, I struggled with putting so much pressure on myself, you know, ensuring that my parents had the clear communication, whatever was being said or heard, they could also understand what was going on at the same time. So obviously being such a young child, putting that amount of pressure on yourself, I think has just really excelled, you know, over the past couple of years, especially being with FernGP.
Amazing. And you stand for a lot of great things. We've spoken about female participation in motorsport, but also deaf activities as well. So tell me a little bit more about that. I'd love to know all about it.
So female participation, yes, and then we've got deaf activities. So my mum runs a youth charity for deaf children, and I've also been a part of that my whole life. And I've met so many young deaf children along the way that have now grown up, and it makes me feel so old. But that's just because at times their families, they can be quite isolated. So they come to this youth centre and they just become like one, and they can just bounce off each other, and it's just a whole social environment. It's really lovely.
I want to know more about what it was like growing up in a family like that, because realistically you wouldn't know any different. That's all you experience. So was it just normal?
I guess for me, I wouldn't know any different. And my brother. So both me, myself and my brother, we're both hearing, and both of our parents are deaf. So it's like 2 versus 2. But yeah, no, we don't know any different. I mean, maybe going into school, I did have a lot of bullies along the way from a young age, but it was just, my nan always told me that having deaf parents is just something special. It's unique, it's different, and I've always just stuck with that for the whole of my life.
I've got to ask, because I know me and my siblings, it's always getting up to mischief. You know, you're a little team against your parents. Like you said,
I know what's coming here.
It's the 2 versus 2.
I know what's coming.
I have to ask, were there any of those secret conversations going on between you and your brother?
Of course.
Okay, so what's the biggest thing you did or hid from your parents?
Oh, no, I can't share that. No.
Oh, you can't do it?
I'll have to get my brother here as well.
Can we get just a small something or an idea of something, an exclusive?
No.
It's going to the grave.
My mum and dad will probably watch this as well, and then it won't be a secret anymore, would it?
So it's going to the grave.
Yeah, it's going to the grave. But yeah, no, there's so many times where me and my brother have shared that sort of stuff. We used to play a game called Spies, and obviously my parents couldn't hear us, but we were just running about when we were meant to be in bed. But yeah, lovely childhood, fantastic time.
Amazing. Well, let's go back to the racing stuff then. Karting. What age were you when you got into that properly? Like properly, competitively almost?
Right. It would be 2022.
Okay.
After doing outdoor karting with my dad, I booked myself into a 3-hour endurance race, solo. So while others raced in teams, I was by myself, and it was just, you know, for the vibes, for the stamina, you know. No, it was just purely to just see what my mind and my body could do in that moment, because I went outdoor karting and I was getting good results, and I just wanted more. I really wanted to put myself into that test. So I done that, and I came first. I know, shoulders still hurt as well. But yeah, so after that, it was just, I want more and more and more. So after that race, the next day, I was scouted by a race team, a Rotax championship. So my dad, absolute legend, bought me my first go-kart, and done the season, loved every minute of it. I went out to Italy to do the shifter karts, and that was a really nice moment for my dad because he also competed in that championship too. So yeah. 2022 is when I started.
Well, we're going to rewind now. I want to reverse back to what you're talking about. So pretty much on like just a few times after doing karting properly with your dad, you decide to do an endurance race by yourself.
Yes.
When everyone else is in teams. I know you said you wanted to prove yourself. But what was going on in your head for you to think, do you know what? That's what I have to do.
It was the only way to properly test myself, in such a short amount of time. Missing out those many years of just being in education, and it was so hard to do both. So just missing out on so many years, I thought, this is my time now. I need to give it everything that I've got, and very, very quickly to get where I want to be. So yeah, I just done it.
And how does that feel to then be scouted after that to join a Rotax team? What's that feeling like where someone's actually come and said, I want you,
Oh, gosh.
you're the driver?
Yeah, it was just mind-blowing, really. Because, like I said, in such a short amount of time, I never thought that was possible. All my dreams, I thought they are achievable, but never in that amount of time. Mm-hmm. And it was really lovely telling my dad as well.
So what was your kind of plan at that stage then? You'd completed your education, you'd started the karting. Were you just hoping to stick in that karting and progress? Because you said it all came a lot quicker than you thought it would. So what was the original plan?
For me, I think from the roots to get into motorsport, you have to start from karting. That's where you can really throw around the kart, in the dry or the wet. And that's where you really learn racecraft. And so that's when I started, and I just wanted to get in that go-kart. So after that, I knew I wanted to get something into cars, single-seaters. I wanted to do Le Mans and all this other stuff in my head. So I applied to Formula Women to get more experience in cars, and then was selected to represent England in their race event in Dubai, and then placed third. And then FernGP came into the picture.
Exactly, FernGP is the big talking point here. But first, I want to quickly go back to your education. So your mum was kind of the one that pushed that, education first, racing afterwards. Do you ever look back and regret that, or do you think you did it the perfect way? Because I know you said, you had to miss out on a little bit of racing in order to get that education. You had to put your focus into that. So is there ever a part of you that's like, oh, I wish I did it a bit earlier? Or are you happy with the way things have kind of panned out now?
It's a bit of both. I do wish I kind of started earlier, but I know how tricky it was to do education and be in motorsport at the same time. So I did really focus on education, but at the same time, I am really happy how things are. Being with a team like FernGP, it's like family. Everything feels right. It's meant to be.
Right, so I can sense a lot of pride coming off of you from everything you've achieved, how quickly you managed to do it. So I've got to ask, proudest achievement so far?
Oh, there's quite a few, but I would say probably being a brand ambassador for the female side for FernGP, being entered into a Formula 3 championship and having a seat in the whole season. Those are my proudest moments, yeah.
Amazing, and we're in the midst of the season now, and we're actually going racing in a week's time, so I feel the energy, the excitement radiating off of the both of us.
Yes.
You mentioned there about being a brand ambassador for the female side. What does that mean to you? FernGP, the female side brand ambassador.
So for me, as a young child, it takes me back, to those days that I wanted to get into that seat, but was encouraged to do education and then go from there. So, and growing up with deaf parents, I know what it's like to feel unseen. So just being that face of FernGP for the female side, I just want to encourage others, inspire the next generation, especially the young females, to get into the sport, and no matter what obstacle or whatever you face, you have a space in any sport.
Amazing, and that's exactly the point. Females have a right in motorsport, they have a place, and we are literally the walking, talking evidence of that. We're proving it, we're showing you
we're
that
doing
literally
it.
You can do anything. There's nothing stopping
That's
you.
it.
Nothing stopping
Nothing's
you.
going to stop you.
Well, let's move on to FernGP and talk about that then. You said that was one of your proudest achievements, is becoming a part of our team. So how did that come about then? I feel like I'm asking you questions where I know the answer, but these guys don't know the answer to this. How did FernGP enter your life?
So it was a little bit before my race event in Dubai with Formula Women. And we were in discussion about doing a Formula Ford seat in the championships. So I'd done my Formula Ford seat fit and then done a couple of track days and then ended up in the Formula 3.
It's clearly the talent. The talent is what made you get into that seat. But let's talk about the Formula Ford test day, because I got to be there for your first ever time in a Formula Ford. Silverstone National was the circuit we were at.
Yeah.
times were great. You were so happy being in that car. We were all so happy seeing you in that car.
The atmosphere was
let's
just...
relive it a bit. What was that like for you?
It was just phenomenal, you know, just being in that car. I've never felt anything like it before. You know, my first ever track day was in the BMW. And then from that to the Formula Ford at Silverstone with FernGP. And it was just, the atmosphere was wild and I loved every second.
It's crazy for me sitting here alongside you, Kirsty, because that was my first day with the team as well. And so I was terrified, but I was so happy to be amongst a racing team. The nerves went immediately once I got there. Yeah. But I remember my first interview with you. It was nothing like this that we're doing now. We were both a little bit on the timid side, getting to know each other. You know, Kirsty, not only did I shove a camera in front of her face and a microphone, but she was also about to get into a single-seater car for the first ever time. And I'm, hey, Kirsty.
There's a time and a place.
A time and a place, Sid. Not the time right now.
Not now.
But what's that like, seeing your own progression? Do you look back and... Because I've rewatched those interviews recently and I look back and think, I'm glad that I've developed from this. What's that like for you, looking back on that?
Do you know what, Sid, honestly, the team, yourself, you've built my confidence in front of the camera. And I know that I say there's a time and a place, but you know when there's a time and a place. And sometimes I don't see that getting into the car, but you have really built my confidence and that's all thanks to all of you guys.
See, you've charmed us. You've charmed us.
That's it. Charm your way through, guys.
That's the way to do it, isn't it? Right, let's go on to what you did after that then. So we did the Formula Ford and we were like, Kirsty, incredible. And so you moved up to the Formula 3.
Yes.
I've asked you this before many a time, but I'm going to ask you again. Difference between the Fordi and getting into the F3. What's the feeling like, the power like?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. You know, the Formula Ford is, I always say, it's like a big go-kart. You know, there's the back end is kicking out and all of that jazz. But in the Formula 3, you're just planted to the floor. And if you don't give it enough power around a corner, you do spin. So it's just getting that downforce and it's just getting used to the different style of driving. And it's a beautiful car, that, yeah.
And I'm going to be asking you this again when we're at Silverstone on the FernGP social media, at fern.gp. Please follow us over there to see more of us. I'm going to be asking you that there again, but you're moving into our champ car.
Yes.
Which is a big deal. It's a big... See, when Kirsty arrived today, she immediately goes over to the champ car.
I was like the Grinch, to smiles from ear to ear.
Yes, exactly that. That was exactly your reaction.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about getting into that, getting your hands on that?
It's crazy, you know. Such more powerful in that car, and got a fresh set of tyres on, so things are looking really good for Silverstone.
There's a fresh coat of paint on there, there's new stickers, everything.
Everything is brand new. I've even got my new helmet, my new suit. Yeah.
You're just making me more excited. I'm meant to sit here and do the rest of this podcast with you, but realistically, I want to run out that door.
We're going after Silverstone.
We're going. See you later. The energy, I don't have the words for how excited I am with all of this being on track. What was that like when you got told that you were jumping in the champ car? What was that moment like?
I mean, I knew about it.
Yeah.
It's been built, you know, and I knew about it. I was just thinking, when is it going to be ready? So I jumped into the other car starting off the season. And then all of a sudden, it was like, the champ car's ready now. You're using it for Silverstone. And I was like, what?
If you're listening just by audio, by the way, check the video out, because Kirsty's face, she's just stunned. You all need to see that. I'll let you carry on.
Please do not let that be a meme. But yeah, I was just like, wow. Getting into the champ car for Silverstone, it's beautiful.
And you talk about quick progression from your karting, getting that seat in a team with the Rotax. What's it been like seeing your progression with FernGP then? How quickly you've gone from the Ford to the first F3 you're in, to the champ car now. How does that feel? Do you feel really proud of yourself? Because you really should.
Not only do I feel proud of myself, but I feel proud for the team. You know, everybody in this team puts in that hard work, that dedication. And as a driver, when you see that, you want not good results for yourself, but for the team also, because that's what really matters. You know, FernGP really is a family. And, you know, just putting in those good results, having a great race weekend, it just means everything.
I feel really narcissistic sitting here nodding along, being like, yep, that's me and the others. Yep, that's us. Exactly. It feels really bad on my part. I want to talk more about the team dynamic then, because you started with us back in November at Silverstone National. What's it been like gelling within the team itself with us?
I think as soon as I got to do my seat fit with Formula Ford, we just clicked, and it just felt so natural, and everyone was so welcoming, and I couldn't have asked for a better team to be a part of, really.
I'm going to big up the team here as well, but it's the easiest team to just come in and just have your confidence built up.
I mean, you know,
just for you to settle in. It's the craziest experience ever.
Yeah.
I tell this story all the time that my first weekend, I'm looking at the awning thinking, yep, that's FernGP. I've got to go in there, but I am terrified walking in there. And then you meet everyone and you're just like...
Instantly, it goes away.
What was I worried about? Why?
Yeah.
Why was I like calling my mum in tears a minute ago? Why was that happening? This is fine.
Literally. Yeah.
So FernGP, the place to be, really, right?
It is. It really is.
So that's the team dynamic then. I want to know what your funniest memory is with us so far. I want some humour. I want to giggle.
She's not going to like this one.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I've got a feeling I know where this is going. I'll let you tell the story.
The champagne spray. We have to talk about the champagne spray.
It seems to me that I have a target on my face. Not just myself.
Your face.
My face.
And your hair.
And my hair.
And your hair, of course. Every single round. Isn't it, Sid? And I don't even mean to do it, but somehow Sid just always gets in the mix.
It was all your fault last time.
It was not my fault. It was Tom's fault.
No, okay. Kirsty's here and she's wanting to spray Tom Dakins on the podium. And I happen to be stood next to Tom Dakins.
Not my fault whatsoever.
If you haven't seen the footage, Tom Dakins has a habit of pouring an entire champagne bottle on my head. It just seems like it's a tradition now. I don't want to mess with people's superstitions.
Yeah, no, you can't.
I'm not going to be that guy.
No.
But at Anglesey, Kirsty decides it's her time to get involved.
I didn't decide. Sid just happened to be in the way.
You watch the video back. I didn't even know this was going on because
It's
I
the
was
most funniest when you put it in slow motion.
This girl goes right for my face. Directly
Into the
in my eyeballs.
into the retinas.
I don't know if you've ever experienced champagne in your eyes, to the people listening.
No.
But it's not the most pleasant feeling in the world.
I bet it's not, but that's probably my funniest moment.
So just wait, because karma is coming for you.
No.
I'm going to get you back, because the thing is, I get to spray Acti Plus. I get to spray the energy
champagne
drink.
bottle.
I haven't got the shaking on my side realistically,
No, that's
but
true.
the Acti Plus, I'm sure that's not going to be nice in your eyes. It's
It's
nice
not,
to drink.
no. Very nice to drink.
But I don't
Not nice
think
in
the
the
eyeballs
eyes. No.
want that kind of nourishment.
Watch out, guys. Sid's coming for you.
I'm targeting you. Here we go. Here's our Acti Plus.
Oh, God.
This is exactly what is going to be in her eyes.
No, I'm not having it.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Now, I've mentioned superstitions there with Tom Dakins. Do you have any superstitions when it comes to racing, when it comes to getting in the car?
I do. I
You
do. I do.
This is brand new information for me. I'm excited.
I do.
What is
So-
this?
With my parents, there's a way of saying I love you in sign language. So there's I love you, or there's like a shorter way when we just use that hand. I'm sure some of you have seen it.
Does it have to be the right hand?
No,
It can be either.
it can be either. But I always use my right hand. So I always put my right glove on first.
Okay, and that is because that's I love
That's
you.
because I love you, and I put it on that right hand.
Okay, now I'm sorry to audio listeners here, but I've heard that I hate you is very similar.
It is.
Okay, so can you show me what that one is?
So that's I love you.
I love you.
That's I hate you. So it's literally just a flick of a finger.
I'm going to start using this. Hello, are you alright? I'm going to be doing that everywhere I go now. So is that the only superstition you have? It's the right hand in the glove first.
Yes, yes.
I feel like now I do your seatbelts, I'm going to have to do the right strap first
Yes.
on you to feed into your superstitions, because I'm a very superstitious person myself. I'm all for supporting your crazy things that you're thinking of.
That's it.
I'm going to get on board
I
with
love
that
that.
one. So that's a superstition then. Any other particular routines? I know you're very great at your training. You're always there doing your reaction tests, stretching it out. Let's talk through that process then. What exactly is it that you do before you get in the car?
So I always do my stretches, skipping and things like that, the standard stuff, just to warm up the body before getting in the car. Because, standing around on a race weekend, you could just be standing there for hours and hours and hours, and your body's just getting really tensed up. So, yeah, stretches. reaction training, but also I like to not fall asleep, but fall asleep. Visualize the track.
Okay.
I do like visualization, pretending that I'm out there, I'm going out into the pits, I'm going out the track, visualizing every single turn. It's something that I've been so good at since childhood.
And how do you do that preparation so that you can visualise the track? Because that means you've got to have an incredible understanding of all of the turns and everything. And I've always struggled with this as a fan, particularly with Formula One, the amount of tracks they go to. I really struggle to tell you this is that and that's that. But with Anglesey, when we walked the track, I was talking to my dad about the weekend we'd had, and I was talking about particular corners, and I could visualise it for the first time ever. I was like, okay, I'm walking around this way, and then I'm doing this, and then I'm doing that. So how do you get that locked and loaded in your head before a race weekend?
I think, since my childhood, not being able to get into that seat, all I could do was visualise the tracks.
Okay.
Every single turn.
You're racing in your head.
I've excelled at this stuff. So, yeah, it's become pretty easy. I mean, at first it's not so easy, especially at tracks that you don't know. But, yeah, you just have to take your mind. You have to really control your mind. That's the thing.
Would you say it's like a form of meditating almost?
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because everything just kind of does go away.
I can't meditate for the life of me. I'm more like you. I like to visualise the stuff in my head
But just having a clear blank space.
Yeah.
And just.
So we've got half nap, half visualisation going on.
That's it.
So when I see you spacing out in the assembly area, that's what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Note to self, don't disturb Kirsty's visualisation/meditation/nap.
And don't get Active Plus in my eyes.
We'll see about that one. I'm not sure on that one there. That'll be my choice, I think. Let's talk more about the racing thing, because that's, I guess, what you're doing to mentally prepare. Is there any other mental and physical preparations that you do ahead of a race weekend?
Physical, lots and lots of training. Just making sure that you're maintaining the strength, because to drive these powerful cars, you do need everything that you've got to give what it takes. But yeah, just more physical training, really like Zen mode, kind of thing. No distractions. Sim work. I love going to the sauna and things like that, and swimming. So just keeping fit and active. So.
And you've mentioned a little bit there, I was going to ask you, how important is that for you? I know you've been doing even more training now, so how important is that for you to have your strength up? I know neck and core is really, really important. So what is it that you're getting up to, and how important is it?
So at the moment, we're working towards more neck training stuff, like the things that you see on the box jumps. I don't know if you've seen George Russell do it.
We've all seen that video. We've all seen it.
Yeah, so literally tilting the head onto the box jump and just using everything you've got in your neck. And I think it's really important, especially as a female, because compared to males, you don't have that strength that the males do. So having to work twice as hard, just been training. I do think it does help me mentally, because, sometimes I do work and there's a lot going on, and I'm thinking about Silverstone, for example. Going to the gym really does take that away from your mind, and you feel like you are working towards something off track.
Talking about that then, looking ahead to Silverstone, we've mentioned being nervous and excited. Is it a bunch of both going into a race weekend? Do you still get that nervousness for going on track, or is it all like, bring it on, come at me?
No, I wish it was. I wish it was. There's still nerves. I think there always will be. Because you just want to do everything that you can do, and bring it back home, obviously. But, it's more excited, like nerves, kind of, going into Silverstone.
Like a day, like it's your birthday party. The excited nerves you get for that.
Yes, spot on. That's it.
Okay, so you've got the birthday party feeling before race weekend. Okay.
When you put it like that.
Noted.
Yeah, that's it.
And Kirsty, on bad days in your personal life when everything's loud up here, what do you do to decompress and relax and chill out?
I love going for runs.
Okay.
And I do like boxing as well. And recently, I've taken up a new hobby, basketball.
Ooh, okay. What brought basketball along?
Well, I used to compete in netball.
Same.
Same, but different. I used to compete in netball in school, but then
You've got the height.
yes, and I'm a shooter. I
Are
can
you?
shoot. Yes.
So you were goal shooter back in school?
Yes.
I liked being goal attack.
Goal attack.
I never liked the rules of when you're like stuck in one little space. That
No.
stressed me out.
Yeah.
Because
You
I
like to
want to
go.
I want to be all over the
Yeah.
place. I've got all the moves
I want to be over
do.
there. Yeah.
I'm that multi-talented when it comes to sport that I should be here. You talk about running there. I've got a proposition for you.
Oh God.
Have you heard of the Silverstone 5K, 10K?
Oh, I have. Yes. My PT has already told me all about it.
We do it.
Are you joining me?
Yeah. I'll do it with you.
Let's go.
You've heard it here
You saw
first.
this.
you saw it here. I've agreed to it now. Which means I need to get running. She'll be off. It'll just be like if we were racing each other. You'll be
Oh,
flying.
I don't know about that, Sid.
And I'll be back.
I don't know.
You'll soon see. You will soon see. Typical race weekend then. Let's get back on track to the racing. Talked about the running. Let's get back on the actual track. Typical race weekend though. I know exactly what a race weekend's like. But can you tell our audience what a typical race weekend is like for you with FernGP in an F3 car?
Right. So, usually I get away on a Thursday. So I'm there at the hotel wherever I'm staying at overnight. So then I'm ready at the track early morning for Friday practice. And then we do the whole day, meet the team, and seeing what the track is like if I haven't been there before. Just pushing that, and then getting ready for qualifying on Saturday. And it could be race 1 in the afternoon, and then on the Sunday we've got race 3. It could be race 4.
And we like it when we have more races.
Yes, we do.
Because more track
More
time,
track time,
equals
more experience.
happy us.
Happy Kirsty.
Happy Kirsty Mansell. We've spoken about funny memories with the team, where you had to bring up the champagne spray. Let's talk about standout moments then, moments of pride, moments of joy. Because when I think of things that brought me joy from your experience on track, I think of your first outing in a single-seater in the Formula Ford, Silverstone National, cold day, your dad gets in the car. Your dad is in the car and you're watching on.
Yeah.
He's in what's now your
My
car that you get to race.
Yeah.
And that's just, I'm all for the wholesome moments. Absolutely love that. But what's your proudest, most joyous moment?
I think you're right, Sid. Seeing my dad get into that car, because that's not something that he could have done.
He didn't get that.
He didn't get that far. So seeing him in that car, and then when the team owner, Lee Fern, was revving the engine, he could hear the car. He could hear the car. That's how loud the car is. But he could hear the car. And I'm not going to lie, I did cry. And that was really a wholesome moment for me. But going back to what you said, probably my first outing in the F3 car at Silverstone, and actually starting from the grid. Mm-hmm. Because I did start from the pits earlier on that day, and it was a bit like, oh, okay, I'm actually starting on the F1 grid,
on the starting line as well.
line. So there I was on the grid, no one next to me, and I was just starting there, and I just see the lights go out, and then boom, that's it. So that was a really good day.
I need you to explain that feeling to me some more. That feeling on the grid, the lights go out, because I've never experienced that. Probably never will, because I don't think proper racing bug is in my DNA.
You never know. You never know.
Never know. It's never a firm no. But what is that moment like?
My heart's going.
Yeah.
But slowly everything just fades away. You're just thinking, what if I don't start? What if I stall the car? And things like that. And it's only natural. But that just all goes away. And as soon as the lights come up, that's it. It's like your eyes have just opened up and you're just ready to go.
Like tunnel vision almost.
That's tunnel vision.
And then how do you keep that focus throughout an entire race? Because I'm a person who gets not bored easily, but if I'm doing something, I need to be really kept engaged. How do you stay focused in a race?
I sing songs in my head.
Do you?
Yes. I do sometimes sing songs in my head. If I feel a little bit distracted, a song will come in my head, and that will just keep me in the zone.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is great. That's what my brain's always like. There's always music playing up here. So that gets you back.
I'll literally be talking to myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of stuff are you saying? get in the game, Kirsty. Get this move done.
Let's go.
Is that send it?
But for every track, every corner, I do have a keyword.
Okay.
And that goes through my head as well. That's just to keep me in focus of what's going on in front of me.
That is so fascinating. Yeah. I need to be in your brain. I want to experience
You
what
don't.
that's like. You don't want to go up there. I want to know more about racing then, qualifying. What's the pressure like with that? Because it's the time where you just have to be as fast as you can be. There's less prep time. Like in a race, you can kind of build on your lap times, whereas qualifying, you've got to get the job done. So what's that like?
I think I put more pressure on myself for the races.
Okay.
For qualifying, yes, putting a good lap time in to be at the front of the grid, you're starting good. But you do have more time than you think in the car. And putting in a clean lap is easier said than done, But what I just normally do is just get away from the pack, get a whole clean lap in, and you're good to go.
Now I'm going to ask you something here that I did not give you time to prepare for at all. You've spoken about your visualization, how you kind of picture the track. What's the track you're most familiar with first?
Most familiar with?
It's just there in your head. You know exactly.
Cadwell Park.
I would like you to talk me through a lap. What am I doing? Talk me through a lap. I want to feel like I'm at Cadwell Park right now.
Right. Okay. So close your eyes.
Okay. I'm getting in the zone. I can see it.
You're in the pits.
Yep.
Right.
I'm in the pit. I'm going to keep my eyes closed for this.
Yeah. You're coming out of the pits. Mm-hmm. You're joining onto the track.
I'm going to hold the steering wheel just so I can really feel like I'm doing it.
Coming out of the pits, you're joining onto the track.
Yep.
And now it's a bit of an S.
Okay.
You've got a bit of a chicane. Mm-hmm. Right? But you just sort of place the car straight. So you go over the curbs, right?
Oh, right.
And you do that, and it's sort of a bit downhill. There we go. And then you turn right. Right. Downhill. Up. You're straight. I'm forgetting this myself.
You need to close your eyes and visualise it too.
Straight, and then left.
Yep.
Left.
Yep, I'm going left.
Not too for left.
Not too.
Not too left. And then bear right.
And I'll stand up. Yeah.
And I'll stand up.
Okay. I'm not going to say that I feel like I've visualised that how you've spoken about visualising.
That's not how it goes on in my head, by the way, guys. Bear right.
Bear right.
I sound like a sat-nav.
Well, this is a bit of insight into the way Kirsty Mansell remembers the track.
This is brilliant.
So basically what I can do now is I can go to Cadwell and I can do it.
Well, you've done half a lap there.
Okay. Was that the best? You gave me the best moments, right? That look doesn't look convincing. I'm gonna brush over that one then. So that's your most familiar track. Favourite track though?
Favourite track? Cadwell.
Why?
Because it's so technical.
Okay.
So technical, yeah.
I really thought you were going to go Silverstone.
I do like Silverstone, but I think I probably shouldn't say this, but it's a bit overrated, I think.
Okay.
I think because it's the national Grand Prix circuit of Great Britain, so
the home of British motor racing.
Yes. But
we still love Silverstone.
I do love Silverstone. It's a really good track. But for me, it's the more technical ones, like Cadwell. And the first time I ever done Cadwell was in the wet. Ooh. And I honestly felt, and I've never felt like this before, I was dancing in the rain.
Really?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what's that like then, dancing in the rain?
Go outside while it's raining.
That was not the question I was going for. I don't know why I just said those words. What's it like dancing in the rain? I was going to say...
Cue the song.
Driving in the wet then, it's a whole different ballpark to driving in the dry. It's a whole different car setup, different tyres as well. So how confident are you driving in the wet? What does that feel like? Do you have those Bambi on ice moments?
I honestly much prefer it.
Okay.
Driving in the wet than
so
to
she's
dry.
A skilled, technical driver.
Yes, in the dry you can really push it to the limit and, send it. But in the wet, I think really does challenge your talent as a racing driver. For me, driving in the wet is just a whole nother level. Dancing in the rain. I was literally holding the steering wheel like this.
Really?
And normally in the dry, I'll be holding it like this, but just literally going like this, and it was just so smooth.
Absolutely amazing then. So I don't want a wet race because I don't want to be wet, having to stand out there in it.
I'll get the champagne out.
Yeah, should we wet the track like
Yeah.
that and see what you can do? Because now I want to see your performance like that. Yeah. I've got to ask then, how would you describe your style of driving? What words would you use to describe it?
I'd say aggressive, but clean. And I'd like to use the word lightning, if I could.
Lightning.
Lightning McQueen.
I've got to say, I'm a big fan of aggressive drivers. And that's not just because I'm sat next to you and you've just said you're an aggressive driver. Aggressive, but clean. It's clinical. That, to me, is the Oscar Piastri way. So that's what I'm going to compare you to now.
Piastri.
You are our Oscar Piastri.
Right, okay.
Better than, maybe. We'll see. So what's your dream track to race then? We've spoken about favourite ones. What is the one that's on your list? I have to go there. Because for me, it's Austria. I really would love to experience the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, very beautiful. I'd love to do Le Mans. That's been the bucket list of mine. Also Spa and Brazil.
And we're wanting to do all of this in a FernGP F3 car, right?
Yes.
Only the best.
Obviously with FernGP.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Only the best. I just want to see the red car going around Interlagos. Beautiful. Picture it. I still need Red Bull Ring.
Right, we need to close our eyes again.
Yeah, visualising it. Can you just see for a minute? We're in Austria. We're at the Red Bull Ring. The hills just roll on forever. The track, absolutely breathtaking. It
I don't want to come back.
swings around. Oh,
That's it.
that's the way I need to live my
Yeah.
life. We're
Yeah.
gonna get
Visualisation.
out to Austria. Visualization, because then we're gonna achieve it.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
Favorite track you've said was Cadwell. What's been? This is the dumbest question ever. Anglesey or Silverstone, because that's what you've raced at. Oh, and Donington.
Donington.
Out of the three,
Yes.
what are you picking? Because they're the tracks you've been to so far.
Yes. I do like Donington. Especially in the F3.
I need to know what you're basing your decision off of as well. Because if I'm going for beauty, enjoyment, or
She's
the
beauty
experience,
and she's grace.
oh, and she can sing as well. I won't join in the singing. I'll leave that one to you. But if I'm being just talking about aesthetics, I'm going with Anglesey.
Yes.
Because it's just
The sea.
everything.
Yes, but every time I go down that hill, I think I'm flying off to the...
Going off
Every
off
time.
the cliff.
Every time.
But then if I'm talking about racing, I'm probably going to go with Silverstone.
Yes.
She's not going to disagree with me on the beauty part being Anglesey, so we know your answer to that. But to drive, out of those ones you've been to so far with FernGP, what are we picking?
I think for Silverstone, for me, it was just so iconic. You know, just being there, starting from the grid, everything was just all in place. Yeah, Silverstone.
I'm going to ask you a tough question now. You weren't willing to reveal secret conversations with your brother earlier on.
Nope.
So instead, I'm going to ask you, what is something we would be surprised to know about Kirsty Mansell? Something that might surprise us, shock us a little bit.
Right. Obviously, I'm a racing driver.
No.
No.
Really?
You don't say. No.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, but I have a weird obsession with petrol.
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 You and I are two peas in a pod with that.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in starting a petrol-based perfume company?
Yes, I
with me?
literally said this the other day.
See, I've spoken to a few people and they're not willing to invest.
Oh, I'm willing to invest.
You're willing to
Yes.
invest, okay? Petrol perfume by Kirsty Mansell and Sydney Barge coming to shops near you soon. I just think it's that great.
It's so good.
You know the way a mechanic smells after fueling?
Yes. Of course.
Let's put that in a bottle.
Exactly.
Bottle it up,
Yeah.
keep that forever.
Wearing it all day long.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't know if it's going to sell too well.
Do you know what I also found out the other day?
Okay.
I can do the Macarena and rev an engine to the tune at the same time.
Kirsty, how did you establish this talent of yours?
In my spare time. In my spare time.
Was
I
this in
literally-
your road car that you...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I can rev the engine at the same time to the tune and do it at the same time.
What inspired this moment? What made you think, do you know what? I wonder if I can...
The song was playing.
Oh, and you were like...
I was with my brother, and we were doing the Macarena, you know, as you do.
As you do.
As you do. And I thought, you know what, I could do this beat with the engine. And he thought, no, you know you can't. And I thought, I can.
Watch me.
I did.
Okay, well, that is something we would be surprised to know about Kirsty.
I'll show you later, Sid, if you'd like.
Oh, I'm so excited to see your talent. I'll put in a clip here if
Yes.
she actually is willing
Yes.
to show me. Here is the Macarena by Kirsty Mansell.
In the F3 car.
Oh no, don't do that to the poor thing. Don't do it. It doesn't want that. No. Right, let's get back onto it then. I want to know what your goals are in motorsport. What are the goals? To race at Le Mans?
Yes, of course. Obviously with FernGP.
Yes.
But obviously to be a champion is any racing driver's dream. But to not only be the face of like female in motorsport, but just to really inspire the next generation as well.
You've unlocked a question for me there.
Oh, God.
Talking about being the face of female racing, I happen to be on my Instagram, as you do, zapping through the stories. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, but he's called Sebastian Vettel. I've heard he's relatively successful, won a championship or two, or
yeah.
three,
Or four. Or five, yeah.
It should have been five. Quite topic for another time. But I happen to see a very familiar face on said man's social media. And she happened to look a lot like you.
How did she know?
Tell me about that, because if Sebastian Vettel posted my face on his story, I would be jumping up and down like a kid in a candy store. How did that happen? Because that was all part of being the face of female participation.
Yes, so Sebastian, he had an event out in Jeddah to inspire the next generation of female racers out there while the F1 Grand Prix was going on. So it was a perfect time, really. And he actually messaged me.
Sebastian Vettel slides into DMs. Kirsty Mansell's DMs.
Yes.
What was that like when you saw the notification? Because you
I
actually
thought it was
sent
a
me the
fake
photo.
account. I thought it was a fake account. I did.
How
I really
many
did.
times did you type in his username to see that it was correct?
More than you'd believe, honestly. I thought it was a fake account. I thought, no, this can't be it. You know, you're having me on, all of that kind of stuff. And it could not be any more true. It was him that messaged me. He was in my DMs. Yeah.
Bonkers.
And he wanted me to be a part of, you know, this event that was going on and to have a top with his hashtag and just post it on there to get it all over social media and encourage others.
And there was a little @fern.gp tag in there. I did see that, and I was thinking Kirsty Mansell and FernGP on Sebastian Vettel's Instagram.
Yes.
What more can you ask for?
Exactly.
Lewis Hamilton posting it, maybe, with his millions.
Oh, my God.
But let's talk a little bit more about that. What does that mean to you? Because him reaching out to you, whoever it was that reached out to you, means there was a team of people that recognised you as a female participant of motorsport, realised you had the following to be able to post something like this and that it mattered for that you to be involved in it. What does that mean to you? Because that is a really big deal.
It is a big deal. And honestly, it really does mean a lot. You know, coming in such a short amount of time to be able to be on Sebastian Vettel's event for the younger generation of females. It's just crazy, but it's so wonderful to be a part of, and it's everything that I've ever dreamt of, you know, being there for others.
It's the recognition, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's seen that you're able to do that and said, come on, get involved. Absolutely amazing. I can't explain what it was like for me seeing you on there. I was like, excuse me? I know
that girl.
I know her. I think I sent it to you and I was like, I know her. I was very, very excited on your behalf. Kirsty, we're speaking about goals and being a champion. I feel like this is the easiest question to answer for a racing driver. What does success look like for you in motorsport? How many championships are we talking here? Endless. Infinity.
Infinity.
Okay.
Championships, yeah. If I could be world champion, that would be a really good success. But just going through all of it with my dad, especially, you know, doing stuff that he really didn't have the time to do or couldn't do. Doing it not only for myself, but for him. And him crying all the time.
It means he cares.
It
exactly. It's beautiful
I love
to
it.
see
I
your
really do
connection
love
with
it,
your
yeah.
parents. It's great to have them trackside, and they're going to be with us at Silverstone.
Yes.
Yes! Absolute win for us there at FernGP. Now, goals for the rest of the season then, because I need a a FernGP times Kirsty Mansell podium.
Yes.
I am super excited for this to happen.
Yes.
When?
When, she says.
Can you give me a date so I can be emotionally prepared?
So I can be there and ask you questions.
Exactly, and be really excited with you, jumping up and down and scream for you when you get given a trophy.
Yes, well, if it could be Silverstone, who knows? Who knows? I have got the champ car now, brand new tyres.
What will that mean for you? If you got that podium in this champ car at Silverstone, what would that mean for you?
It would mean everything, you know, not only for me, like I said, but for my family, for the team. Yeah, it would truly be everything.
And Kirsty Mansell, to wrap things up here then, what would you say to any racing drivers, male or female, wanting to get into motorsport? What would you say to them? What words of wisdom would you offer them?
Just go for it, you know, whatever you want to do. Don't feel like there's any obstacles in the way or it's not possible. Anything is possible if you put your mind and your body to it. You know, just no matter where you come from, what obstacle you face, you have a space anywhere.
Amazing. Well, those are your words of wisdom from Kirsty Mansell. Before we entirely wrap things up then, we've got to thank Total Air Systems for keeping us cool when we need to be cool and warm when we need to be warm. Stayers for helping us make these chairs look oh so beautiful. And of course, Acti Plus for keeping us energised and hydrated. Let's have a cheers. This is to the success of the rest of your season and a podium on the cards, Kirsty.
Yay, thank you.